humans that intermarried, and the sons of men manipulated the genes. While modern humans were migrating out of Africa and spreading to other regions, the ancestors of Neanderthals left Africa 400 to 800,000 years ago. Who knows if any of that's true? Evolved over the millennia, mostly in what are now France, Spain, Germany, and Russia. They went extinct or were simply absorbed into the modern human population about 30,000 years ago. Neanderthals possessed the gene for language and had a sophisticated music, art, and tool craftsmanship. See, the eugenicists, that's why they think whites are superior. They've been saying this for 100 years, that Northern Europeans are part Neanderthal and have different brain makeup. So they have not been all that unattractive to modern humans at the time. In addition, because of methods were totally independent of Neanderthal material, we can also conclude that previous results were not influenced by contaminated artifacts. And this work goes back nearly a decade ago when Labuda and his colleagues identified a piece of DNA called haplotype in the human X chromosome that seemed different. They questioned its origins. Fast forward to 2010 when the Neanderthal genome was sequenced. The Human Genome Project, boys and girls, the eugenicist operation. The researchers could then compare the haplotype to the Neanderthal genome as well as the DNA of existing humans. The scientists found that the sequence was present in humans across all continents except for sub-Saharan Africa and including Australia, the Aborigines there. There is little doubt that the haplotype is present because of the mating with our ancestors of Neanderthals, said Nick Patterson of the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard University. Princeton did not participate in the latest research yet. This is a very nice result, and further analysis may help determine more details. David Reich at the Harvard Medical School, geneticist, added, Dr. Labuda and his colleagues were the first to identify a genetic variation in non-Africans that was likely to have come from an archaic population. This was done entirely without the Neanderthal genome sequence, but in light of the Neanderthal sequence, it is now clear that they were absolutely right. The modern human-Neanderthal combo likely benefited our species, enabling it to survive in harsh, cold regions the Neanderthals previously had adapted to. Variability is very important in long-term survival of a species. The scientists went on to say every addition of the genome can be enriching, hybridization. They say the Neanderthals also had ancestral memories. Call them instincts. Very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what you call them, but I sure have strong instincts. Okay, continuing here with the news, ladies and gentlemen. CERN gags physicist in cosmic ray climate experiment. What do these results mean? Not allowed to tell you. And then it goes into, how do I know the results? It says they found basically the same thing that the previous studies did by separate scientists working on this project, and they found more than 20 years ago, hey, it's not potash or volcanic ash that's the main driver of nuclei that helps form droplets. It's different particles, mini meteorites by the billions that come into the atmosphere, other tiny particles, charged particles, solar radiation, the list goes on, coming in. And that's why, obviously, when you're facing the sun, there's a lot more of these, and cloud formation during the day, not just causing evaporation. And they don't like this. That's why the UN came out 2 years ago and said, look, and I'm going to your calls in a minute, said, hey, it's our carbon tax event, Copenhagen. We're going to have a vote here of the politicians that the sun does not affect climate. It's all humans. And they struck the gavel and said, that's right. We vote the earth is flat. Copernicus is wrong. And now when CERN finds this, and this is in the Register newspaper, they're not allowed to report their findings. But then it says that it was researching the other findings that found it's the main driver. See, if they can't blame climate change, which is, of course, the climate's changing all the time. It was once one continent. Pangea. I mean, did humans doing that? Did cows flatulating do that? No. Cows didn't exist then. CERN gags physicist in cosmic ray climate experiment. The chief of the world's leading physics lab at CERN in Geneva has prohibited scientists from drawing conclusions from a major experiment. The Cloud Cosmic Leaving Outdoor Droplets experiment examines the role of energetic particles from deep space play in cloud formation. cloud uses CERN's proton cyclotron to examine the particles. CERN Director General Rolf Dieter Hauer told Welt Online that the scientists should refrain from drawing conclusions from the latest experiment. I have asked the colleagues to present the results clearly, but not to interpret them, yes, reports veteran science editor Nigel Calder. Why? Because Hauer says that would go immediately into highly political area of the climate change debate. One has to make clear that cosmic radiation is only one of many parameters. See, they're telling you, ooh, we found that this is the main driver, but there's many things. No, buddy. The UN says no effect. My breathing is the main effect. In fact, I'm going to fire devil gas out right now. I'm blowing out carbon dioxide, just death. In fact, if one of my crew came in here and I was to breathe on them, it would kill them. Not the bad breath, the carbon dioxide, nerve gas devil weapon. Because they say so. The usual gagging, the unusual gagging order could have been issued because the cloud results are really, really boring, muses Calder. Oh, that's a joke. Or could it be that the experiment invites a politically unacceptable hypothesis on climate? The cloud experiment builds on earlier experiments by Danish physicist Henrik Savesmark, who demonstrated that cosmic rays provide a seed for clouds. Tiny charges and changes in the clouds covering the Earth cover, tiny changes in the Earth's cloud cover could account for variations in temperatures of several degrees. The amount of ultrafine condensation nuclei, UFCN material, depends on the quality of the background drizzle of the rays, which varies depending on the strength of the sun's magnetic field and the strength of the Earth's magnetic field. How much so? Speaking at a private event attended by L. Reg earlier this year, the scientist, who has nothing to do with the cloud experiment, wouldn't be drawn. He said he thought it was one of 4 significant factors: man-made factors, volcanoes, and regime shift in the mid-70s and cosmic rays. The quality of and quantity of cosmic rays, therefore, has an influence on climate, but this isn't factored into the IPCC, that's the UN group, consensus science at all. CERN has joined a long line of lesser institutions obliged to remain politically correct about the man-made global warming hypothesis. It's okay to enter the highly political area of the climate change debate, provided your results endorse man-made warming, but not if they support the heresy that it is the sun that alters the climate by influencing the cosmic ray influx and cloud formation. Let's hope he's been misquoted. The precedents aren't happy. Okay, stopping right there, then I want to go to your calls and some other news before we end the broadcast today. As I babbled through that, I'm not a teleprompter reader, sorry. You know what, I'm going to admit something right now on air, and I'm going to apologize to everybody. I have been an extremist, evil person, reading hundreds of studies that have come out in the last 20 years that the sun is the main driver of climate. That is extreme, that is sickening, and that is ridiculous. Everyone knows the sun has no effect on the Earth. The giant gas ball that heats the planet and is the source of all life. I'm sorry. Everyone knows. I was having a little slip back into reality there. I want to be politically correct. Whoa. When the UN says, like the Vatican said 500 years ago, that the Earth was still the center of the universe when it was proven by Galileo that it wasn't, they were reasonable. It's good to have a bunch of old men that knew nothing about science telling a scientist he was wrong. And it's good to have the UN politically vote that the sun doesn't affect climate. I mean, that's common sense, folks. The sun does not affect climate. We have the 4 seasons because there are hundreds of little magic fairies that fly around the Earth creating light. And when they go to sleep, that's night. When the fairies wake up, that is causing the sun to shine. I mean, the light to be there. Excuse me. I was being extremist again. And so it's totally reasonable that humans are evil and bad. We should all pay carbon taxes to Nate Rothschild and Al Gore and Bill Clinton immediately, because after all, they're trying to save us. And they also are talking about, what's actually happening in Australia and Europe, huge taxes on all farm animals, sheep, cows, chickens, because they pass gas, methane gas, namely. And that's going to kill the earth because there weren't birds and bovine and sheep living in giant herds and flocks all over the planet previous to domestication. In fact, I've looked at actuaries on it. There were actually more bovine, water buffalo, yaks, that whole class, that whole group, buffalo in North America, they didn't exist. And thank goodness if they did exist, that Al Gore would have gone in a time machine to tax them, because if he wouldn't have gotten a time machine thousands of years ago when there were all these forms of cows running around eating and passing gas with their multiple stomachs, we would be dead right now. Do you understand how deadly creatures on this planet passing gas is? It actually makes up our atmosphere, but it's evil. It's evil. Okay? So I just can't believe how thank God they're taxing cows. They're so evil. and by the way, plankton and bacteria let off gas. Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. They're going to kill us. And trees put off oxygen, even more evil. I mean, with a straight face, they sit there and tell us carbon dioxide's evil, when they've done ice core studies back 200,000 years ago and found it to be 14 times higher 200,000 years ago, and that we're in an oxygen carbon dioxide starved level, and that our atmosphere is actually thinner than it was from the different ice core and mud samples they've gotten out of peat bogs. But again, the sun does not affect the climate. That's like saying these lights in here don't illuminate me for the camera. It's that ridiculous. But I am politically correct. And I think it's reasonable the royal family says you shouldn't have more than one child, and Ted Turner says it when they've got 4 or 5 children. I think that's reasonable. I'm sick of people that don't do what Al Gore says. Johnny in Colorado, another sicko. Go ahead, Johnny.
Hey, sir. It's an honor to talk to you.
Hold on. You don't think the sun affects the earth, do you?
Oh, I really think it does.
Oh, whoa, extremist. Oh, okay. Sir, did you just get out of a mental institution?
No, I did not. I learned that in elementary school, though.
Well, those were the old America. Those were people you were probably actually in an Al-Qaeda base. Did you go to school in Afghanistan?
No, right?
Only backwards Taliban would teach that. I'm sorry, extremist, climate denier. Go ahead. Go ahead, evil one.
I guess I'll start with that, yeah. Over the past week on the radio, I've been hearing about this new agenda, or this new radio ad, and it's called 350.org. And it's basically them talking about if carbon dioxide goes over 350 of the atmosphere.
No, she's like, we've had more disasters than ever. Everyone's in trouble. It's time to stop denying it and pay Al Gore all our money. Yes, I've seen it. We're going to play it in a moment. Go ahead.
They're saying, like, the world will end if it goes over 350. Like, all life on Earth will end.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if carbon dioxide was 14 times higher. I know. It's sir. If they're trying to save you right now, Nate Rothschild needs more yachts. He owns the carbon trading company you're going to pay. He only wants to save you.
Right. And then also I heard the cops in Colorado now are starting to have those license plate scanners.
That's good, yeah.
That really sucks.
But all over the country, they're banning free speech, too. Isn't that good? Soon they'll say it never existed. You'll be a conspiracy theorist if you ever said you had a right to own a gun. I'm serious.
Let's hope it doesn't get there.
What other extremism, Johnny, did you call in about?
Actually, I want to comment on that guy that was like, you need to do more. And then I think there's nothing more important, or one of the most important things that you should do is your social networking thing. Because Google just came out with the social networking, Google+, YouTube just came out with the social networking, and I really think if you make yours, people will jump on that. And
I know, it's a money issue. The IT folks we've got are always busy fixing old things, and we're trying to hire another person. It's all monetary, and I'd rather have a commercial-free show. But people need to buy the books, buy the videos, buy the T-shirts, because that's how we fund this whole thing. God bless you, Johnny. In fact, just for Johnny, here's the TV ad, the radio ad. Okay, we'll play it during the next segment. We'll go to another call right now. Let's go ahead and talk to John in New York, another person that probably thinks the sun is what heats the earth. These people are crazy. John, go ahead.
Oh, what a fool I am. I do believe it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Alex, I just want to let people know Ron Paul's having a Ready, Ames, Fire money bomb today to help him build momentum for the August 13th Iowa straw poll. His website's ronpaul2012.com. And I think if he wins the early primaries, the mainstream media won't be able to marginalize him. What do you think?
I agree, and he's bigger than ever, and he's winning a lot of the big straw polls in places like New Hampshire.